Well, hello there folks, it's Revan speaking, hope you're doing well, and it is with great honor and privilege to present you the lovely replay done by RileyToxic for the San Diego. Now, if you're unaware folks that we do have a couple weeks left to do the grind, do the time to get the San Diego on all servers for patch 14.8 as of right now. In this replay though, we are very proud to share the love and appreciation for the San Diego. Riley, I just want to share this with you very much so, as we're approaching Father's Day, and I have to say that this was one of the best gifts you have done for us, and we really do appreciate you very much for taking the time, doing the time by doing this. And I know that my dad is actually very fond of your replays, and he was very proud of this one actually. And at the moment he's actually resting and recovering, but I want to voice on his behalf and just say that we really do appreciate everything you have done, and we love this replay that you've done for the Pacific Offensive for this one. So folks, this replay is actually a very good one, and I have to say, for what it's worth in terms of the context of this video, the San Diego is a very good premium warship of tier 8 that you can obtain for free by doing all the operations in the World War II operations, I should rephrase, by completing all the stages and chapters, and you get the ship for free. Now, if you haven't got the San Diego, this replay will probably pretty much will encourage you to get it. Now, for what it's worth, it is a very good replay that I thought was actually fun and engaging, no doubt about it. Now, I have to admit that, you know, for what it's worth with all the battles and everything that's actually done here, like I've done a bit of a slow motion moment there, 11 citadels on the Kuma, that was brilliant, I have to say. Now, for what it's worth, that this ship can do a lot of damage all over hand over fist in this battle. Now, I have to say that, you know, when I first watched this replay the first time around, oh, these torps are coming in. The first time I watched this replay, I was actually very speechless, and my dad was actually pretty much, to give you a bit of a context, that he was jaw-dropping every time about these kills, these citadels, the amount of damage that's been done here. And for what it's worth, the sap shells do hurt like hell on this San Diego. It's actually pretty damn impressive, and for what it's worth though. So by looking at it, the amount of damage you can produce on this thing, and you see like how you keep rapid firing, this ship can pretty much eat anything to dust if you keep it alive long enough. The only downside about this warship though is that it's pretty much a loose glass cannon, and it got short range torps at 4.5 kilometers. Nevertheless, I mean, like, you can heal yourself, you can repair. We also have the reload booster for the main guns as well. And in terms of this operation though that we're doing for this event for the name of tomorrow, you have like these fleet support consumables as well too, which is very beneficial in the long term. Now, I have to say that this operation is fun when you actually work together as a team, and at the same time that Riley here has done something a little bit different, which we'll go in depth a little bit more in this video. So I have to say that, you know, I'm just going to increase the speed about this replay a little bit more here. The amount of firepower that you've seen here with the guns firing at will is actually phenomenal, as you can see. Now I'm going to slide back down to normal speed and just watch this in action. There's a bit of a difference here between the two. So as you can see, that if you fast forward the game, you can actually see like these guns are really spamming out left, right and center. I love it. The ship's very good. If you love the Atlanta, for example, at tier 7, when you first get it, the premium ship, back in the day, I was actually speechless about how damn good it is. Now, with the guns on this thing and everything on San Diego, it's just as damn good as well too. And wow, there's a lot of ricochets. Folks, I have to say that this game has improved a lot dramatically in, over the time, a period of time, as we approach 10 wonderful years of celebrations with the franchise. Now, for what it's worth, I mean, like, the graphics has improved, the sound effects is not too bad, but this battle is in itself here is brilliant, just simply brilliant. Riley here is actually doing a great job alternating between both SAP and AP shells, and both of them are pretty much doable between, certain situations. Like, for example, the AP shells are very good for the fortifications. Now, in terms of SAP shells, you can literally clobber the crap out of the destroyers and cruisers with it. And I noticed that at some point that she was using the SAP shells on the battleships as well too. Nevertheless, it was very good fun though. But I have to admit though that with the amount of mechanics involved in the Pacific offensive fight, it's actually very important that you keep spamming the number 9 whenever it's available, and at the same time that, well, it's actually kind of funny that, when I say this, because that, you don't want to really blow out all your main consumables in a way. Now, for what it's worth though, this ship really knows how to burn things to dust here. Now look at the amount of shells that are pumping out here on this thing. Now return it back to normal speed now, and as you can see, there's so many ricochets and non-pens going on with this thing using the SAP shells. The battleship Congo is pretty much angled correctly, and it's actually taking the bow in, and it's got incoming torps coming on its way right now. And at the same time though, the San Diego is just kind of away here. It's going to have one torpedo, which is pretty cool, but having torpedoes on both sides of the ship is actually pretty cool, and that's one thing I like about the San Diego. And Relight Booster is coming to play here, which is pretty sweet. Oh, this is actually loving it. It's great. So they're really pumping out here with the shells here. It's sort of like Daka mode in terms of how you play this battle going forward though. And for what it's worth, I actually really love the opportunity to see this in action though. So it's incredible, over 100k damage already in such a short period of time, and this is quite situational. Now keep in mind though that any warships that you play in this battle mode in terms of Pacific Offensive is very situational, and it comes down to the positioning, the timing and everything. For Riley here, it's simply plain and simple domination. It is absolutely awesome domination right there, and I actually really loved what's going on here so far. At the moment right now that there's a lot of ships organizing themselves to be in certain positions right now, but at the same time, that is it really worth have the San Diego in operations like this? The answer is yes. But one thing that I've noticed in this battle that Riley has done, and I'm very curious about it, or is that the reason behind of why always on the move. Now I admit, for a cruiser to sit still, you're pretty much an open water target, and you don't want to be that. With the amount of SAP shells that you can spam out at such a short period of time, by all means do it. Just pump it out as fast as you can, and actually keep yourself angled and moving away from the enemy. Unfortunately, she's getting hammered right now, but notice that how quickly the guns turn around and actually fired it well towards the Aoba. Well, I have to say that for what it's worth, it's actually brilliant, just simply brilliant. And I can tell that she is definitely keeping herself angled correctly, and I noticed that the enemy shot some HE shells, which is kind of bizarre for the AI to do that. But I have to say though that for what it's worth, it's actually very interesting to see how this really pans out, this whole fight. But yeah, look, I mean, like, the San Diego is a great warship all around, folks, especially when you know what you're doing with it. Now, I have to admit that with the amount of sheer firepower that this warship can possess, you can definitely do a lot of memes with it, especially hitting the enemy a few kilometers away, like at least nearly 13 clicks away. That's for sure. But I mean, like, for what it's worth, Riley is actually clearly demonstrating that this ship means business. It can mean a lot of word of hurt when it comes down to how effective it can be against other ships and really punishing the enemy right, left and center. Now, I will admit though that seeing these destroyers in action is actually not bad at all. I mean, like, it's kind of like interesting to see how this team is actually really working together. I noticed that the Iperinga, Cleveland, as well as the North Carolina are really close nearby to Riley right now, and it's actually pretty good to see that they're really, you know, team coordination, stuff like that. The one thing that the San Diego I didn't really like about it, aside from being a loose glass cannon, is that the lack of radar. But the ship itself is very good with hydroacoustics though, and I have to admit that for hydroacoustic search, I mean, like, the only downside about it all is that the detection range of the torpedoes. But you can make do and always, you know, keep yourself busy and going forward. Now, this is a great warship. I mean, like, I can't say any more than that. Now, the Fuataka here is getting absolutely hammered here, and watching all these shells coming in is actually splendid. This is a great fireworks show, and the amount of damage that is happening between all the teammates, including Riley here, is just absolutely phenomenal. And honestly, the amount of kills that has been shown here in this battle so far is simply just awesome. It's simply just awesome. Now, they're in the final stages now of this battle, this fight now, because, like, I believe that this is the last camp, and since there's only like one more group heal left to go to get the goal for that. And it's actually very nice that, you know, you work as a team achieving your goals by doing this. But yeah, I mean, like, the San Diego, for what it's worth, folks, I mean, like, if you don't have it, this is your chance to get it now. I mean, like, right now. And just by watching this video so far, this replay, how things are going at this battle at the moment, you will have a fun time, a grand time, by having this ship. Now, I will admit that for one thing to another, that this ship can really penetrate a lot of battleships and cruisers and destroyers left and right, but the one thing I can always appreciate about this warship is that the amount of reload time it has just for its main guns. And this Udachi is really charging in here, but look at all these sap shells literally just hammering its way through on this destroyer. But I noticed that there was a lot of, you know, ricochets as well too along the way, which is rather unfortunate. Ricochets pretty much just mean that there's not going to be much, you know, damage involved with this ship to begin with, and the only way to really score damage on this thing is really hammer your way through in cruisers. Now, here's a Gokasi, for example, that is actually very fun to use. I mean, like, look at the amount of reload time with a pure broadside being used, and actually now the guns have been swapped over to AP. Now, I mean, like, considering, like, the reason for it is very situational, is actually a very good choice. Having sap shells at close range is not exactly ideal, especially when you broadside to a target. But it's actually very good to see that the guns have been alternated every now and then between sap shells as well as AP shells, which is pretty cool. So Riley has done a fantastic job at this moment, you know, like holding the line with everything. Her teammate who is in the Cleveland, the rental Cleveland, is actually doing a good job by tanking a lot of hits and just by hanging in there so far. Now, it's just a matter of time what's going to happen with this Organo. And it looks like the Cleveland is going to burn down here in a second. Oh, it's pretty full on with everything going on. Come on, Organo. Going down, buddy. And I hope Cleveland stays alive, but unfortunately the Cleveland is now dead. but the amount of fires that's been happened on that ship is, of course, you know, like, unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. So far, just from what we're seeing, a lot of things, good things are happening in the near future. So, it looks like that the Fuso is actually moving the position here. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, that's amazing. So, she's really going in toe to toe with this Fuso. And I can see the torps are actually going to be jousting here in a second here. She's going to fire a whole set of torpedoes on this Fuso. This Fuso Congo battleships as well as Bayern are pretty solid warships, so they can take a lot of hits from the San Diego. But at the same time though, that the torpedoes have a better, greater effect on this thing. 2 floods and 2 torpedo hits. Well, that's not bad. I mean, like, that's actually not too bad at all, considering like how many torps did hit the warship to begin with. So there's a lot of good shells incoming on the Yahagi here, and Yahagi is actually a not bad warship as well too. Nice cruiser to deal with, and you actually can spam a lot of good sap shells on it, as well as AP for closer. Sap shells, generally speaking, work well with any ship less than 10-kilometer range or longer in terms of sharp shells. So it's very situational depending what type of ship it is. So AP shells are pretty much ideal for anything less than 10 kilometers, but SAP shells are pretty much, you know, your go-to arsenal unless the target's totally broadside. But Riley's done a fantastic job with his replay. I have to say, first and foremost, Riley, thanks for showing us with the San Diego, and wow, that's a lot of damage right there, 255k damage. That is brilliant, and look at that, folks. That's amazing and unreal with the amount of penetrations, over 520. So 526 penetrations, 123 non-penetrations, 25 protection hits for the torpedo, and 195, nearly 200 ricochets, and 29 overpans. That is actually brilliant. Now, the torp hits is actually not too bad, but 9 wonderful kills on this ship is actually splendid. And on top of it all, it's like a lot of Citadel hits. 14. I mean, like at the beginning of the video, that was ridiculous about the amount of 14 Citadels. But that's actually phenomenal. So yeah, thanks to RileyToxic for doing this, and also to good old Matty. So Matty and Riley, thank you for the teamwork right there between you two. That's great fun. And also shout out to James Retired, also XX Shimmering Game XX, also Hi Jackal 655, and also Blitzbear, and also TWM. Thank you very much, folks, for just doing that, and it's been greatly appreciated. This is some wonderful results in our gameplay there. That's actually pretty brilliant overall, and it's actually a splendid result overall. But yeah, I mean, like that, if I was rating this, I probably would have rated it as an E right there. But for what it's worth, thank you for showing that video there, Riley, and it's greatly appreciated, and hope to see you all in the next video in the near future. So if I don't catch up with you before Father's Day, have a safe and wonderful Father's Day, everybody. From here in Australia, that is. Take care.